I got enough jam in this pack here. So you said it doesn't look like there's much water? Okay, I got water. Just putting a lot of time in it. Yeah, it's fixed a lot of stuff on it. To be, yeah, no, that's what he said when he heard it happen. He was like, yeah, he's saying, yeah, he didn't want to sat in the jungle, right? Yeah. Cam sensors off. Arm. Give me a sec here. Okay. Sensor off there. That was it. Good.
Alright, so we're here with a pretty special car. You might not know what it is just yet. We're just going with PV to pick up this car from a lot, so we tried not to film too much down at the lot, but we got it running and going. This is a very special car to us. We're going to let you know a little bit more very quickly. We're going to quickly do some checks, check the battery, put some fresh fuel in this thing, and we'll tell you all about it real soon. But this is a vlog that means a lot to me and Josh and Keepitreet, and yeah, if you know this car already, or you've seen in the title what this video is about, make sure you stick around because, yeah, it's an emotional one. Alright guys, we're here in an extremely iconic place. I'm sure you know it. This is Manami, the Jump, the most iconic track at Ebisu. And this car has probably done the most laps, more laps than anyone in the world on this track right here. So what is this car? Who drove this car? What is this all about? What am I doing? Why did I pull this car out? And why did I back it into the wall right now? That is because this is Chris De Jager's car. Chris De Jager is an Australian, an OG drifter. Not too many people know him recently, people that are getting into the sport, but if you got into the sport in Australia back when I did, 2010 and a bit before and a bit after, you will know this man, and you potentially definitely would have seen any of him and his driving of this car over here in Japan. This was Chris's home. This is where Chris refined his driving. This is where Chris pushed his legacy about how he wanted to see drifting and how he wanted to improve in drifting in no matter what car you're in. It's basically the exact essence of what Keepitreet is all about. No ego, thrash what you got, bring what you got, come have fun and just hang with the boys, help them out, get everyone to the same level. If you've got everyone on the same level in whatever car they've got, you're gonna have the most goddamn fun in your whole entire life. And you can send it on tracks like this, back to back, lap after lap, and just door each other. And I just can't express how much fun and joy that brings. Even just talking about it right now and standing on this track brings a goddamn tear to my eye. So Chris De Jager, let's get a little bit more into depth of what happened to this man, why I'm with his car right now, and what he means to me and the brand Keepitreet. Chris was a seasoned professional driver, lived in Melbourne, Victoria. He came to Japan in 2010 with Chance, his girlfriend at the time, and bought an S13 Silvia. They bought this car for as cheap as possible, as close to the track as possible, and that was a non-turbo manual white, just stock S13. He took this car around this track basically with the idea to get as many laps as he could for as cheap as possible with what he could afford, and that did him well. Fast forward a few years, he got an S14. He did the exact same thing. He upped his game a little bit more, did what he could afford. 2012, he got this car, and that's when levels started to up. He had a lot of help from Andy and Emily with whether it's mechanical knowledge, car stuff, storage, tyres, whatever it may be. Andy and Emily from Power Vehicles were always there to help out. This is before Power Vehicle support. This was before the influx of gaijin and influencers and whatever were coming to Japan. He was just here to do laps. He would come 2 to 3 times a year, and he would just absolutely send it with some of the best drivers in the world. That led on to him being tutored by Suinaga and Kumakubo. Kumakubo is the owner of this track, and they taught Chris an insane amount of skills that he held forever, basically, in these cars, which was drive what you got. It doesn't matter how much power, anything, you can learn styles to drive through it, to drive some of the biggest, most insane tracks, and drive and keep up with some of the most insane drivers in pro-level cars, which is just insane. That brings us to the year that I met Chris, 2013, my first trip to Ebisu. My goal to drive this track, which is Minami, one of the scariest tracks to do in the world. I had a purple R33 that cost me $3,000, and it was honestly probably too clean. The mission was to just improve my driving and get better and learn from some of these guys, like Chris and Pidwell and John Dreyer at the time, and a few of the guys that I really looked up to. My most fond memory was coming out and asking Chris and Pidwell, can I follow you guys on this track? This thing looks freaking scary. I saw him coming and launching it. My first time I saw this track was Daigo Saito hitting X gate and just jumping and smacking the wall and somehow pulling it off with 3 cars deep in trains in JZX hundreds. It was just insane. Now we come to the last few years. So 2016 is when the next trip was. I sold that 33 and to Andy at Power Vehicles, and I bought a absolute nugget JZX 90. And me and Josh came here with Team Champagne Showers. Josh had a 33, Chris were here, G1GP was on. Now G1GP was another goal of mine to be able to compete in. It is the Gaijin Championship. So we just did that this weekend, and it's one of those things, like if you can win that series, it means something. Drivers come from all over the world, some of the best drivers, to compete in their completely stock cars with same size tyres, and it is just some insane driving. Chris was one of those people that the first year he did it, he won, and I think he had about 3 or 4 championships under his belt, which means he had about 3 or 4 of the G1GP embroidered gangster bride bucket seats, I'm pretty sure they are. He could just win everything. He knew every single little detail. He'd be doing Minami right now, and he'd be adjusting his steering. So he had more lock this way. He'd adjust his rack, so he had more lock this way. So he could send this corner and smack it and basically have a wise fab without having wise fab on this track to be able to whoop people's asses with the better setup. And it worked every time. And he just drove harder. He was basically trying to drive through people's doors. He was trying to get that rush, being as good as humanly possible. Which is just insane. Like that, I'll never forget. This comes back to us starting Keepitreet and running events and him being involved. Me speaking to him about sponsorship early days, and him just being happy to share all his knowledge and what he'd learnt and what he thinks people should be doing in Australia. And he never had like an amazing successful program, but he knew how to talk the talk. He knew how to sell. He knew how to sell himself, and he'd always somehow land deals that got him to drive some pretty cool things. The last things that he got to drive was he built a chaser for, I think, Formula Drift. That was a bit of a turning point for Chris. That car was giving him non-stop issues. He just couldn't seem to pull the time and the money and whatever it was taking. The car was just giving him dramas. In the first sessions, something would always go wrong. Whatever comps he would take it to, he was spending all his money to make it to these rounds, and it just wasn't coming together. He crashed into this wall. He blew a drive shaft at another round. He just had everything that he could possibly have thrown at him that year, and it was really tough on him. Now Chris is one of those types of people that he didn't know the best way to discuss with friends and whatnot on how to deal with that emotional burden and depression that comes with things just coming back and back at you, and for so many years you've made it work. From the outside looking in, I could see that something was going on, but I just didn't know what. I knew at that point we were running events just for fun, and he would come and drive a few of them, and he'd love them. At the later years, he would speak to me about what events are coming up and what he can drive, and I think at that point we actually were in COVID, and I was like, I don't know, bro, like, there's nothing really coming up. I didn't realize how much of a release drifting really meant to him, and how much he was relying on it as his therapy for keeping his brain active and keeping him sane, I think, really, basically, was what it came down to, because only a few weeks after that point, everyone saw a post online, and I think I got a phone call or a text message saying that Chris was gone. I got the chilling moment and realization that he was going through something much bigger than himself. He had some childhood stuff that was just sitting there and lingering, and drifting was his release. Drifting was his way to deal with it. He just wanted to be as good as he could. He had insanely high expectations of himself. He thought that he could get through anything if he put his mind to it. I don't think he realized how much it means when it comes to emotional stuff and trauma as a human being. This is something that I've gone through as well. You can't do it yourself. You need to lean on other people. You have to open up. You have to find out what it is that's triggering you, that's making you feel like something's weighing you down when all you're trying to do is have fun and be a good person. I know exactly what it's like. It shook the community. We didn't understand what had happened and why and what's going on, what was going through his head. Like, this guy was so nice and so excited to be driving and out there, and I know for Chance, who was extremely close with him at the time through COVID, it was absolutely heartbreaking, and seeing her and listening to her speech at his funeral was something else. It was just, I can't explain it, and I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it. So it kind of brings us back to why we're here right now with his car at the track. And honestly, I don't really know why. I'll tell you honestly, I just know that from that moment I changed how I saw drifting, and I changed how I saw myself in the sport. I changed how I saw other people in the sport. I was like, okay, shit, there's something actually going on deeper than like what, just having fun. Like, I understand having fun is fucking gangster. Like, I'm all for it. There's a reason that we come out here. There's a reason why a lot of drifters have come from a BMX background. It's always been something external. It's always been therapy. It's always escaping something. It's always trying to get away and enjoy something that's not in your head. It's you getting out of your head, which is why we do it. And I understand that. But if you don't attack the thing that you're hiding, it'll eventually come and get you. And I've had some extremely rough years and extremely tough times with my family and my wife Danny, and it's things that are pent up from when I was young. And if I didn't go and get therapy, go and speak to different people, go to church and find a way to deal with it or find out what it is, a chance I'd be in a similar position to Chris, not feeling like it's all on myself and being extremely depressed. I've been in the lowest of lows, and I know what it's like, and that's why I want to bring Chris's legacy to Keepitreet. And it's always been a reason that I've kind of been like, Keepitreet's never been about me. It's never been about money. It's always been about the team and everyone else and just having fun and having a good time. But at the same time, I've hit points where I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, this is so taxing. It's so stressful. It's so hard to run a team. It's so hard to run a business. I want to bring Chris's legacy to our brand, and I want people to feel heard and understood that you can go and talk to someone. You can open up. There's people in the community that want to hear your story. They want to know why you do what you do. They want to support you. You're not on your own. That we're going to do everything we can to bring awareness. We're going to have chaplains at our events. We're going to have someone you can go and talk to that's a neutral ground. We're going to have a website set up on Keepitreet where you can go and see the links. You can see our story. You can see Chris's story. For me, I guess a big one was definitely just, finding God and realizing there's someone that's always got your back, that you can always rely on, and that will always bring you out of that hole. Here I am now, sitting with Chris's car, seeing what I can do to bring it back to Australia, to bring it back to life, to keep his legacy going, to see if I can get someone driving this car that can really show like style and what he was always aiming to do and his attitude. And I think it's a really touching story that everyone needs to know. And here we are, Ebisu Matsuri, 2024, a full circle coming back here and being able to tell you this and, a bit about my life and how Chris relates so closely to me and in many ways, but he didn't make it through that fight, which is just incredibly disheartening to me as someone that I really looked up to and I idolized, honestly, as someone that I wanted to be just like and that I wanted to be able to drive just like, and that I wanted to have fun just like. And this is Chris De Jager. This is his story. This is how I met him through my eyes and how I saw him. And I wish he was still here today so I could be banging doors on this track or around here. I'm grateful that I'm here and that I can bring this opportunity, and that his life is and his legacy, I can still continue to push through the brand of Keepitreet and share this story with you guys. So. Chris, good friend.
Me too.
Yeah.
Hey.
Kubo-san?
Hi.
Chris's car is good. Obviously, Kubo knew Chris very well.
Remember?
Remember?
Yeah. And Chris and don't have money and every day and tuna. And he don't have a tire. And okay, and I present. Yes.
You give?
Yes, I give and the tire. Yes, and yeah.
When did you first meet Chris? What year? First time?
I don't know. 10 years ago, more?
10 years?
More?
2010, 2011,
I don't know.
2012?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you remember this car?
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, and he and every day and training this
Training,
car.
yeah.
Yeah. But he training and only on the rainy day. Yeah, you know, and the safe tire. Yes. Yes, and he is a very good driver. Yes.
Very good.
I love.
Anything you want to say about Chris?
Yeah.
You can speak in Japanese if you want, if easier, and we can translate later.
いや、本当にクリスはもう本当にこう外国のオーストラリアのみんなが日本に来る前、一番最初からこの日本に来て、でこの恵比寿に来て、私たちチームオレンジのドリフトのトレーニングをいっぱい勉強して、でもちろんお金も全然なくて、アパート借りて、全然お金もなくて、本当に缶詰とかカップラーメンだけで生活をして、でもお金がない、でもドリフトがしたい、だから、私たちもできる限り応援してタイヤを、セカンドハンドのタイヤをあげたりとか、トレーニングを一緒にやったりとか、あとはスクールのお手伝いをしてもらって、彼もいっぱいスクールを勉強して、で今後もっと良くなったらチームオレンジで一緒にコンペティション出ようねって話をずっとしてて、で彼が1回オーストラリア帰って、いろんな車を作って進んでるのを見てて、もうすごく応援してて、早くプロになって日本に帰ってこないかなってずっと思ってたんですけど、本当残念なことになって、もう本当にまだ私たちがこう外国人と一緒に走る一番最初のドライバーだったので、本当に私たちはもう、特に私はもうクリスとは本当に長い間の付き合いもあったので、私とか末永は本当にクリスを未だに愛してます。はい、ありがとう。
Killed it! Yeah! Reet!